Hey, Carbonation, what is up? This is the very first look, because of course it's like 13 days early. The first look for the Super Bowl props of the Super Bowl here in 2022, where we have the Cincinnati Bengals 4 seed versus another 4 seed. I almost said the St. Louis Rams. Man, it's been a while. The LA Rams. And what we got here, we have 3 of our prop experts giving you guys all of their first looks. And I want to stress the first look spot of this because in 13 days from now, if there's injuries or somebody gets COVID and they can't play, a lot of these things may be a wash. We're going to be trying to do a podcast, a follow-up podcast, a lot closer to the Super Bowl. We'll have more information. We're going to know, strategy or whatever have you, health, injury stuff, all of those things. Make sure you check out the follow-up podcast. But this is trying to get your first look if you want to plug in some stuff before the lines start moving. So we're going to be talking about props across the entire spectrum of sports books. So no matter if you play on, FanDuel Sportsbook, DraftKings Sportsbooks, BetRivers, PointsBet, BetMGM, Caesars, any of our partners, most likely you're able to find these up. Super Bowl's like the most bet on thing in the world when it comes to it. Anyway, I'll stop the rambling. Let me introduce the cast we have here today. We have Ben. You know Ben, of course, the content lead here of DFS Karma, who also kills the props, even though Ohio says you're not allowed to play them. Freaking Ohio. We have Bradford, who also kills props as well. You've seen a lot of his articles on betkarma.com. He focused a lot on college football for us this year. And of course, Mr. Ben himself at We Beat the Spread, huge Twitter handle. He's been doing a lot of articles for us as well. So make sure you follow these guys on Twitter if you're not already. And let's cut right to it. What we're going to do first, or throughout this podcast, is we're going to focus on position by position because we're focusing mainly on player props. If you guys have any questions about things that may not be player props or things that we didn't address on this podcast, please just ask in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, ask in the comments. If you download this, the video or the audio of this, and you listen to it, hit us up on Twitter, hop in our free chat room. We're going to be talking Super Bowl for the next 13 days. So if you're not in there yet, go to betkarmachat.com. But starting things off, quarterbacks. Who wants to go with their favorite quarterback prop? Does anybody have something that out of all of the props that they're looking at so far on this first look, that any quarterback prop was like the favorite one that just jumped out at them? Is that for anyone out here?
Yeah, I'll start off first.
Right.
A prop that hit in the last game and the game before that for the Rams, Matthew Stafford over 24.5 pass completions. Despite how dominant this defense has been, this is offense still that needs to compete on the other side of the ball. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, when they played against the Cincinnati Bengals, they kind of felt like it let their foot off the gas and they were unable to, continue with that momentum. McVay's not going to do that. So he's going to have a lot of quick, easy passes for Matthew Stafford. And he doesn't want a Tampa Bay 2.0. If they get up big, they start running with Cam Akers, allow a good quarterback like Joe Burrow to come back in the game. I think that Matthew Stafford throws the ball somewhere like 38 times this game. A lot of people are, they're jumping quick on the spread at -3.5, but I think it's going to play very close throughout the entire game. It's going to be a lot of passing from Matthew Stafford.
Now, something else I want to add to this podcast is for the other 2 prop gurus here. Once someone makes a prop call out on this podcast, either give them a yay or a nay. Yeah, you're on board. It makes sense. But if you aren't on board, you want to give a quick 2 cents of why you think it's going to go the other direction. So with this first one, Stafford completions, is anyone against that? Does anyone have a 2 cents piece towards the opposite side on the under?
No, I like that one a lot myself. So as a first look, I like that completions prop.
Yeah, I'm good with the over as well.
All right. So the funny thing is here, if you guys haven't put 2 and 2 together, is we have two Bens on here. So Ben Hostler is just going to be referred to as Ben 1, and then we beat the spread. Of course, we'll just refer to him as Ben 2 here, just like it's like Spider-Man. You guys seen that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Peter Parker 1, Peter Parker 2, Peter Parker 3, Peter Parker 4, Peter Parker 5, Peter Parker 6. Anyway, Ben 1. What do you like on the quarterback side? Is anything jumping out at you, whether it's on Price Picks or any of the sports books right now?
Yeah, I don't love anything. The one thing I did mention when we first got on here before we started this was I think Joe Burrow's prop is too low on Prize Picks, passing yards at 268.5. But I think you could take the over on Matt Stafford's way. I think both teams are going to throw. That's kind of what we've seen in recent Super Bowls as well. these teams tend to pass a lot, and I think that's going to be the case here. Like, I think both quarterbacks probably will get close to that 300-yard mark in this game, personally.
Do you also like, just because I know you're referring to Prize Picks right now, and with Prize Picks, you can't just use one. I know we're going to go through a lot of plays through this entire podcast, but just focusing on quarterback still, do you like Stafford at 276.5 on Prize Picks because you're believing both quarterbacks are easily, not, I don't want to say easily, but going to hit 300? Or is it something where you may probably find something you like more to pair with Joe Burrow's over yards?
There might be something I like more, but I like him over. Like, I think, like, if I had to pick between the two, like, Stafford would probably be my pick for more yards. But I think both probably hit 300 in this game, given how it should
All
go.
right. Ben 2. What do we got for quarterbacks here for the first look, Pod?
I didn't originally really have any quarterback prop, but one I really do like. I'm going to agree with Ben one here. I really like Joe Burrow. Also, because like you noticed, almost 10 yards under most of the books right now. So that's already an advantage. But then watching that Bengals game, man, the announcers kept on touching on it. They weren't using Joe Mixon as they probably should have. They were running him a lot on first down. He wasn't getting, a ton. He ended up getting, I think it was 48 yards on 13 attempts. But they used him more as a receiving back, and I think that's kind of how they're going to play this game a lot. Tight end Uzoma's out, so I think they're going to use him more as like that receiving back, that quick dump off. So he's going to get more pass yards out of that. I just don't necessarily love the run game for the Bengals in this one. We know that Rams defensive line is scary. So I think it's going to be more of a quick kind of, I would take Joe Burrow completions as well, but I really like this receiving yards. I think it's going to be a lot of quick passes, and I think he'll probably hit 300 in this one. So lean the over on that one for me too.
All right, now before we get over to the running back side, which is the next position we'll be touching on, a few housekeeping things I want to mention. First off, if you're watching this on YouTube, which more than likely you are, or whatever video platform we're going to be putting this on, in the description, I'm going to have a link. FanDuel Sportsbook. There's every sportsbook partner with is going to have an amazing sports Super Bowl promo. But FanDuel, they just told me today earlier what their promo is, and I believe I'm going to state this correctly. It's like if you bet $5, first you have to click the link in the description of this video, and you have to sign up through that link to get the promotion. And this is you having an account for the first time. So in other words, new users, you can bet $5 on either team to win. And when that team wins, you get $280 payout no matter what happens. So it's just a promo where they're literally saying, hey, bet $5, don't sweat anything. We'll give you $280. And the craziest part about this promo, you can instantly withdraw that money. That is not promo credit. That is not any kind of rollover. You will instantly be able to withdraw that. So if you do not have an account and you live in a legal state, they're literally just handing you over a couple $100 just for creating an account on there. You can easily take it back. And if you want to never play again, you don't have to. But of course, they're going to keep doing promos like that moving forward. So make sure you guys check that out. If you don't have an account yet, link's going to be in the description. And then if you have an account there, you want to see other promos, go to betkarma.com, our website, click on the where to bet button. All of our promotion stuff is in there. All of our sportsbook partners giving away thousands of dollars for signing up. All you got to do is just select your state where you live, and it'll show you all the options of where you can play props for the Super Bowl. So the last thing before we get to running backs, if you guys, for some reason, have never heard of the SPF predictor and you play on Monkey Knife Fight or Prize Picks or both, or have interest, or you're in a state that makes that legal, which is most of them out there, we do have this thing that just came out recently called the SPF predictor, SPF standing for single player fantasy. So this right here, just showing the game that just the games that just wrapped up here, the conference championship games. But this is a free tool, cost you $0. All you have to do is log in, create a free account on betkarma.com, log into that account, click on SPF predictor here in the menu. It's going to show all of our projections for the player props. So you can choose receiving yards, you can choose all different kind of stats. You can make it by team. You can make it by player if you search by the player. And this will show you on Monkey Knife and Prize Picks, the line is what that line is at that given second on these sites. And then it'll just show you the difference. And of course, it's going to rank. You can just sort here by the difference of the stat there. So closer to the Super Bowl, these are going to be updated, of course, for the Super Bowl props. Now that the housekeeping's the side of it, let's go ahead and roll things over now to the running backs. Ben 1, I'm going to start with you on this one. Ben 1. What is your favorite prop that popped out to you for running backs here for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm probably avoiding most of these. Can't really get a read here. Other Ben was kind of talking about Mixon's role, and I agree
love
with him.
that.
Like
I love the other
I
Ben.
know.
Other Ben.
I agree. Like they're probably not going to be just pounding the ball against the Rams front. I'm probably going to avoid the rushing props. I think for the most part as of now, don't like anything.
Well, so before we move on to one of the other guys, so I know you said you avoid the rushing props, but is there anything that maybe running back receiving or receptions or anything else that you looked at running back wise? There's literally nothing right now across any of those stats that you're looking at.
Yeah, nothing sticks out. I mean, I think Joe Burrow's rushing prop is kind of interesting. 9.5 yards. He easily went over against the Chiefs. But I don't know if I like it enough that I would be betting it right now.
It looks like as if this is only first look, so definitely check these a lot closer to the Super Bowl. But right now, receiving prop rise on Prize Picks, they only have Mixon at over under 24.5 receiving yards. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's go to Brad next. Brad, what are you looking at for the running backs?
Yeah, I was looking for a reception prop. I didn't really see anything that I absolutely loved. I did, however, have some interest in Joe Mixon longest rushing attempt over 13.5. And it's one of those things where the number's low because a lot of people think that because the Rams have a good rush defense, that Joe Mixon is not going to get a lot of rushing yards. However, the Rams still do have plenty of opportunities where they kind of get caught pressuring the quarterback or going for a pass rush that allows for opportunities for the one big run. And it's happened in their last 3 games they've played, even though like when they're playing against Tampa, they were consistently getting pressure against Tampa's banged up offensive line. And Fournette was able to break off a big one. It happened. Deebo Samuel was able to break off a big one. And just like when Joe Mixon played last week, he was able to break a big one. I think that number's fair at 13.5. And if I were to have to dive in on a running back, that would probably be the only way I would look from a rushing standpoint.
So wrapping things up here, the running backs going to Ben too. Before Ben, you drop your prop here, I just want to ask you a question. All 3 of you guys a question. Do you think Joe Mixon fumbled that ball? I know the fumble at the end of the game. I watched it live. Didn't see anything crazy. Joe Mixon ran 15 yards, and I saw this post, this blog's like, Andy Reid's trying to challenge something that he fumbled the ball. I was like, what are you talking about? I would have noticed that. And they showed the replay, and it looked to me, you guys say it yourself, but it looked to me like he actually was not touched, and he just stands up, drops the ball, and a Chiefs player picks it up. But does anybody? Let's just go through the line here. Ben 1, did Joe Mixon fumble that ball?
I'm gonna say no, but dude, I don't know. It's just like so stuff like that is just so tilting to me. Like, this is why I prefer to not just be a diehard fan of a team because I'm sure if you're a Chiefs fan, you're like, yeah, he fumbled the ball for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Brad, what do you think? Yay or nay?
Nah, I'm gonna go with he didn't fumble, and I just hate having for me to make that call.
All right, Ben, see what he got.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think it was a fumble. Yeah.
All right, what is your running back prop now?
So I do actually like that one that Brad said, the over 13.5 longest rush. If it got to 12.5, I'd kind of like that better, only because it actually has hit 13 exactly a few times this year for Mixon. So if it was 12.5, I'd definitely love it. But 13.5, I still like. He had like he said, he had that 23-yard rush yesterday against the Chiefs. He had a 16 in the Titans game. He had a 13 last time against the Chiefs. He's broken off big runs in almost every one of his last 5 games. And his shortest one was a 10-yard rush against the Raiders. So I like that one a lot. My favorite play, though, for Mixon is going to be, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about earlier, but Mixon over 25.5 receiving yards. He's hit this in every single one of his last 5 games. Uzoma's out, their tight end, their big guys out. I don't really trust Sample. I think they're going to use Mixon a lot more as their receiving back, and just game plan wise, a lot of dump offs, just like they did last week. I think he's going to get a lot of receiving yards. So 25.5, sometimes it can be difficult for a running back, but in this type of game script, I think it's a pretty good bet, especially the way that he wasn't super productive on the ground last week, and especially against this Rams defensive line, like I said earlier. So I like that receiving line there as a first look.
All right. Do Ben 1 or Brad, you guys for or against the 25.5? Actually, 24.5 on Prize Picks, so 25.5 receiving prop. Yay or nay?
Yeah, I'm for it. I'm holding out, trying to get a very cheap reception, like number of receptions for Joe Mixon. But if that never becomes available, because I haven't found it on like the 3 main books, then I'll definitely be on receiving yards.
Yeah, I'm good with the over. Prize Picks has Mixon's receptions at 4, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a good
really?
line. Yeah, that's a pretty good line in my opinion.
So, well, Brad, just referencing, since we're on running backs right now, with Ben 1 saying that the receptions are at 4, is that the number you were looking for? Or do you want
3.5 with no juice. Yeah, like minimal juice. Yeah, 3.5 is beautiful. Like if you look at the amount of targets that the running backs have been seeing, I'm going to exclude San Francisco just because they play such a unique offense. But outside that San Francisco game, running backs are getting a lot of targets against this defensive line. No Uzoma, which that's even more of target share that it's going to allow for Mixon. I really like that with no juice. Yeah, 100%.
All right. Before we move on to receivers, is there any other? Because I know running backs are a hot commodity here, especially when you got a Joe Mixon on one side and then a hodgepodge of players on the other side. Actually, that was the question I was going to ask you guys before we move on to receivers. Does anybody like secondary running back props in terms of like P. Ryan on the Bengals or like a Sony Michel? Yeah, or anything like that. Does anybody like doing any of those things? Because P. Ryan's the past couple weeks in the playoffs, like he's had some crazy plays happen. So is that something that you guys look at because these players typically go overlooked, but they can explode? Or in the Super Bowl, you're just like, nah, not even part of my repertoire?
Akers went out for a little bit. I don't remember how long it was exactly, but Akers actually had a little bit of I think it was a knee, if I'm remembering right, knee problem in the last game. He was out for a little bit. Michelle was in. So of course, 2 weeks off, that's probably going to fix itself. It didn't look anything like serious, and he came back into the game. But I mean, that's something to think about because I mean, if it were to get agitated or something early in the Super Bowl, obviously you're going to have to look to Michelle more. So maybe I don't really love the line right now on Michelle, but if it were to drop or if more news comes out about Akers' injury, maybe look for Michelle. I don't know. Do you have a line on him up there?
You're looking for what, rushing yards, Michelle?
Oh, they don't have a lineup for him. I'm assuming that's just because, it's kind of up in the air right now, and we're still 2 weeks out. But I'd say keep an eye on that one.
All right. Let's go ahead and hop, skip, and jump over to receivers, which comes with tons of props. You get the receiving props, you get the receptions. You have a ton of other opportunities, and of course, something that's really something that Brad was going to be talking about. I don't know if the receivers is where he's going to be talking about, but he did bring up before we started recording that he's looking at alternate lines, which receiving props have tons of them. But Brad, speaking of the devil, do you got anything alternate line wise for receivers, or do you just want to focus mainly on?
No, we can go with the whole play is going to be based on the alternate line anyway. So I'm going with Jamar Chase over 100 yards at plus 188. I'm going to also parlay. I'm going to do some same game parlays with Chase's receptions at 5.5. And just the numbers. Okay, so first off, I want to talk about how teams are playing against the Rams, where they're moving their number one receiver into the slot more often because it allows for a quicker target and a quicker pass. And you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they did that with Mike Evans because they had limited wide receivers. Jamar Chase is 23% playing out of the slot. And I expect that number to be up closer to like the 35%. And he's already getting a 60% snap share with 96% route participation. So he's running almost every time they're passing. Every time he's in the game, they're going to be passing the ball. He's one of those guys who's going to get the targets and he's going to get deep targets. So now you're including deep targets plus the underneath routes. It gives him more opportunities. What's pretty cool too about Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow is, we have a lot of volume guys who see like a ton of targets per game who don't really see a lot of catchable targets, right? And this is the number that you should really focus on when you're taking alt lines is like you have a guy who's going downfield and running these deep routes and the quarterback's throwing the ball, but is it really a catchable ball? Well, for Jamar Chase, he's getting like a 70 to 80% catchable pass rate, which means these are good passes that are on the money. He has the opportunity to catch them. And a lot of people are going to be so like, oh, well, he's going to have Jalen Ramsey on him the whole game. Well, that's false. Jalen Ramsey actually is not going to go. The only time you're going to see Jalen Ramsey lock in on one receiver now in this defense is if they're getting torched. If it's late in the game and the game is on the line, sure, he'll cover Jamar Chase. But as Jamar Chase moves throughout this offense and where he sets up, he's have many, many opportunities to attack that. I'm just going to say it. Terrible safety group that the Rams have. I think that it plus 188 is generous because I would have probably set his over underline kind of like closer to 84.5, 85.5. So we're getting a little bit of extra there. I couldn't take his receptions alone because the juice is just too much at minus 150. But if you find things that you really like you like a Joe Mixon, then you go ahead and you take that and you combine those, bring the juice down a lot.
So before we go go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but
yeah.
I really like that one a lot, especially with last week we saw the emergence of T. Higgins. He's been kind of not a sleeper all year, but I'd say he's in the shadow of Jamar Chase at least because, everyone knows Jamar Chase. I think Ramsey's going to, like he said, Ramsey's not going to be locked in on Jamar Chase all game. I think he's going to see a lot of action on T. Higgins as well. So, and then like you said, a terrible safety group. They might not have Taylor Rapp. He's questionable right now. So I just want to say I agree with that one a lot. I like that alt line 100 plus because I think Higgins is going to, that film room, they're going to be like, well, this guy's just as much of a threat now, especially with that 100 plus. I think it was like 107, 113. He broke 100 yesterday. So, I mean, they're going to be definitely thinking about him too. So
what I was going to say is that I find it very strange. Well, Brad was like, I want to parlay, the Chase 100 yards with the Chase receptions. And I realized, I don't know if it's just because it'll happen closer to the Super Bowl, but it's funny that you can parlay almost everything right now on FanDuel Sportsbook, except for there's no receptions. Like literally everything possible is in the same game parlay drop down list. But the receptions is not part of that right now, which is like, that's, I don't know. I don't think it's a typical thing. I'm pretty sure that's usually on the same game parlay, but right now, I guess somebody on their dev team screwed up. It's not working. But regardless, so I know that Bento, you were talking about how you agree with Brad on his side. Is there anything else you want to throw in on the receiver side?
Receiver side, well, technically tight end side. Right. I really like Kendall Blanton. If he starts, obviously that's probably one of the biggest injury things. Like you said, we're still 2 weeks out, so you got to kind of keep an eye on the lines. But the second that one opens up, I will be looking because if Higbee can't go, they're saying he might be able to, but you never know. Obviously, it's Super Bowl, so we'll try to. But if Kendall Blanton does start this game, I really like him to go over. I don't see a line on it right now, but if it's anything under like 30 yards, which I imagine it's not going to be that high, he's a backup tight end. But he had 5 catches on 5 targets yesterday for 57 yards. So, I mean, he's only started 2 games this year. He hasn't had a whole lot of action, but he looked really good yesterday. And it seemed like Stafford trusted him like right out of the pocket. So obviously he must do well in practice or something for him to trust him. But I mean, he was throwing him the ball and he caught every single one. So I think that trust is going to be there if he does start the game. And I imagine his line is going to be low because like I said, obviously he's not Tyler Higbee. But yeah, I really like that one. And then also I did have Beckham Jr. over 63.5 yards. I've hit him every single playoff game so far, and I'm going to hit him again. He's hit his line in every single one of the playoff games so far. He's posted over 63.5 yards. Or sorry, he didn't in the Arizona game, but his line was only like 39.5, and he hit I think it was like 50. So he's hit his line in every single game, and he's had 23 targets in the postseason so far, and he's caught 19 of those targets. So I mean that's a pretty good catch rate. He only dropped 4. And so I'm going to be hitting that one again. I really like OBJ. And then I'll probably look at him anytime touchdown too, but I haven't really decided on that one yet. So, but I like his receiving yards.
So to recap the first part of what you're saying. So you're saying if Higbee is out, Blanton is starting. If the reception or receiving yards prop is anything under 30, you're going over.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say where they would open it. But if it was under 30, I'd definitely hit it just for the fact that he didn't even play the full game. I think it was 85% of the snaps or something yesterday. But it was pretty clear that they were trying to use the tight end yesterday because even for those few plays that Higbee was in, he had 3 targets and he caught 2 of them. So, I mean, tight ends had a lot of targets last week, so I feel like they'll try and do the same sort of thing. I might throw him some tight end screens for some easy passes, but I like anything under 30 yards if it were to open there, if he's starting.
All right, before Ben one showcases his favorite receiver props, is anybody against Beckham over 62.5? I think you said 63.5, but I 62.5, 63.5. That's what FanDuel has pulled up right now. Is anybody on the under, or do they have a case for the under on OBJ?
No, I don't think you could. I don't think this is a game or a team that you'd want to take the under in unless you had some inside intel. Like if you look at the explosive play rankings, the Cincinnati Bengals are one of the worst, and they were the worst defensive team against explosive passes. And Odell Beckham allows that with the post routes and the corner routes that he runs. I mean, all it takes is 3 of those, and he's clearing it. And so it's like that's something like that's called poking the bear if you want to take an under there.
All right, Ben. So what are we rocking here for the receiver or tight end receiving props? What do you like the most so far?
Yeah, agree on Odell. I think that's a good line. That's one of my favorite bets of the game. This is over, so I'm with you there. I'm going to give 2 Bengals ones here, and I'm going to take the under on Tyler Boyd's receiving yards. I don't know what FanDuel has him at. I think PrizePicks has him at 39.5. Yeah,
right now.
I'm going to take the under. So kind of what they were talking about, like they're not using Ramsey to really shadow one person. They've kind of just stuck him in the middle of the field and let him kind of just roam around. So there's a good chance like Tyler Boyd does see some of them, but he hasn't topped that number, I think, since around Christmas. It's been a good amount of time, but there's just so much usage going to Chase and Higgins. I'm fine taking the under there. And then Brad and I are kind of going head to head because I liked T. Higgins alt line of 100 yards. So we can go head to head with Chase versus T. Higgins, but not that I don't like Chase, but T. Higgins leads the team in air yards during the playoffs. He went over 100 last week, got to 96 against Tennessee, so was really close to going there in that game. But I'm just a big T. Higgins fan. I don't think, like you said, Ramsey is not going to be locked into one person. He runs a lot of deep routes, double-digit yards per catch in each of his last 3 games. So I like T. Higgins a lot in this game as well.
Are you saying T. Higgins over 100 yards?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's plus 300.
Yeah, plus 300.
Yeah.
I really like that Tyler Boyd under. I actually, sadly, had him as a 2-unit my max play yesterday on the over. I thought with Higgins and Chase getting so much of the defensive look that he would emerge, but he's just the postseason has not been good for him. He had 26 yards against the Raiders, 17 in the Titans game, and only 19 yesterday yards. And I mean, he's just completely dropped off from this offense, it seems. And part of that, is Higgins, but maybe with Uzoma out, he might see more. But even yesterday when he went out, he didn't see any production. I don't think he had a catch in the second half. He had 2 or 3 in the first half for only 19 yards and none in the second half. So his usage has really dropped off. So I would agree with that under there, actually.
So before we finish the receiving props side of things here, so we have Brad saying Jamar Chase over 100, and then Ben one chimed in with T. Higgins over 100. Both of you guys, since each of you had one of those plays, do you think how much do you guys like both of those hitting, I guess? So Ben one, start with you. So in terms, I know you said you like Jamar Chase, but over 100 yards along with T. Higgins, or are you just solely focused on the T. Higgins hitting that 3-digit mark?
No, I think they both can go over. It would just depend how the game goes. But see, like you just have to think it out. Like if you're gonna play that, like same game parlay or whatever you're doing, if you're gonna play them both over 100 yards, like you might as well just add Burrows over in or something like that. Because obviously Burrow's gonna be doing well if you think both of them can go over. But I do think that they could both go over in the same game. That number, yes.
Yeah, they should have in that Tennessee. So I had Jamar Chase's alt line in the Tennessee game, and like honestly, Higgins he ended with like 96 or something, and Jamar Chase had like 116 or 115, and like I honestly was kicking myself like during the game because I'm like, man, and Higgins was plus 350 during that game, and I was just like, I really wish I would have taken Higgins. Like even though it fell short, like that's the opportunity when you have big odds like that. Like those are the opportunities you want to put yourself in. Not for like I think mine was a little bit higher, like it was like plus 2 something, but it wasn't plus 350. So I was like kind of still kicking myself, even though it's still cashed.
So I know we talked about somebody mentioned something about potential. I think it was OBJ potential anytime touchdown. So what I'm gonna do in this go around here is I'll start with Ben 1 and then go to Brad and then Ben 2. But if you're picking one player, of course, more than likely there's gonna be multiple touchdowns scored in this game, but not even odds based. If you're assuming that everyone has, actually it would have to be odds based because some people sure. Hold on. Before I say anything, let me pull that up.
Yeah, the Cooper Cup's minus 190.
I was gonna say Cup.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess it can't be odds based because I was like, wait a second, like I'm sure somebody's crazy on there. Okay, so odds inclusive. If you're only betting one anytime touchdown scorer, Ben, 1, based on the odds as well. Who are you going with? You can only pick one.
I know I just talked about him, but probably T. Higgins. He has the best odds of someone that I think has a realistic chance of scoring.
All right, Brad, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with T. Higgins as well. So, like, when you think about Jamar Chase, and he scored a lot of touchdowns, like 6 or something on the season, but his target share actually drops, like, significantly in the red zone. And those targets go to Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Uzoma. And now Uzoma's out, so I'm expecting T. Higgins to get more of those targets. And at plus 155, it's way better than minus 110.
And then Ben 2, do you have anything different besides T?
Well, obviously, like you said, odds inclusive now, it wouldn't be Cup. I mean, Cup has scored literally a touchdown in almost every single game. 8 of his last 9. He scored 2 yesterday. He's had 1 in every single playoff game. But 190 for a touchdown, that's honestly kind of a little high for me for an anytime. So if I had to pick one that had a little better odds, it would probably be Joe Mixon. I'm not sure what his
He's
anytime
105 right
is.
now.
Minus 105.
No,
that would
plus
probably be my
105.
pick. Plus 105. That'd probably be my pick just because he did have one against the Titans. He didn't have one yesterday, but I like that just because obviously he's a two-way player. He can score rushing or receiving, so there's that element of it. But he had a really good run during the regular season. He hit like 9 games in a row with a touchdown. I think he's kind of due for one now in a playoff game. So I'd like Joe Mixon to score one if I had to pick one there.
All right, so if you guys can see the screen right now, what I'm pulling up is the alternate spreads. So I guess let me go through all 3 of you real quick on what do you don't just not the score, just who you think is going to win, because I don't know. I don't think I've talked to you guys before we started recording this. So Ben 1, who's going to be winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I was going to ask the other 2. I was curious who they think is going to win. I mean, I think the Rams have a better team, but I have a future on the Bengals. I'm just going to root for the Bengals. I think the Bengals have a better quarterback, and for whatever reason, they're just super hot. Like, I mean, they've been underdogs in each of their last 2 games, and they still pulled out the outright win. So I'm going to pick the Bengals to win.
All right, Brad.
So I haven't 100% made up my mind, but I'm 90% sure that my NBC cross sport parlay is going to be Rams parlayed with Liverpool. So just the reason being, like, so I talked about a little bit about this before, but if you look at the pressure rate as through the Bengals playoffs run, they haven't had a team who's had both a defense that gets a lot of pressure on the quarterback coupled with an offense that's going to make you have to earn it every single play. So they kind of get bailed out a little bit. Like first Tennessee's offense was not there. And I mean, you could say that the Bengals had an amazing pass rush that game, blah, blah, blah. But this is the first true test where they play a prolific offense with a very good pass rush where, you know, I said this on Twitter, where you can't beat the Chiefs with field goals. Like, I was saying it condescendingly. Like, this is going to be a team you don't want to be kicking field goals against because of the pressure, because of how strong the defense is going to be. Like, and if I'm just putting Rams in a parlay, it's fair. But like Ben said, I mean, it's hard to root against Joe Burrow. So I can make a case for either side.
All right, Ben 2, who are you rooting for? Or not? Okay, not who are you rooting for. Who's going to be winning the Super Bowl?
Well, I have 2 sides for that, because who I'm rooting for is the Bengals. My heart wants the Bengals to win really bad. I love Joe Burrow. But my brain is telling me that the Rams probably have this game. I agree with a lot of Brad's points. The Bengals probably lose that game yesterday if Mahomes doesn't have a few bad decisions. The second half, you can kind of call it a meltdown, because it was. I mean, what are the chances that Mahomes is going to go scoreless up until the final few minutes where they kicked that field goal? And you think of those big plays that aren't very common, like where he had that that lineman get that interception in plus territory, the Bengals to get plus territory, which really flipped the game around because they already had a little bit of momentum going into that. But I think I don't want to say it was a lucky win because they definitely pulled it off. Burrow looked really good. It wasn't a lucky win by any means, but you think about how complete the Rams team is, and my heart really wants the Bengals to win. And I do believe they can do it just because of how good that offense is. But I don't think that safety, that secondary will have a very good time against that receiving core from the Rams. And that defensive line for the Rams will definitely be pressuring Burrow. Actually, one little nugget of information there. Burrow's been sacked 3+ times in every single game since November 28th against the Steelers, except for the Chiefs game yesterday, but their defensive line isn't special. So I think he's going to be sacked a lot of times. And he sacked 9 times against the Titans and still won. That was more Ryan Tannehill than anything else, and Stafford's a better quarterback than Tannehill. So I would lean the Rams here. One more little thing I just want to put out there. If you are going to take the Rams, if you are going to do a parlay piece or anything, I would actually do the Rams spread. In 55 Super Bowls, the straight up winner is 36-5-2 against the spread as well. So that's a pretty crazy high number. Usually the spread isn't that high for the Super Bowl, so that's probably why that line that number is so high. But that's a pretty crazy number to me, 36-5. So yeah, if you were going to see, it looks like it's -4, -4.5 right now. But I definitely lean Rams here if I had to pick a side.
All right, so staying on the spread topic that you were just on, I do have the alternate spreads up here. Does anybody just to throw one last thing in here before we wrap this podcast up? Like I said, this is the first look. So if we don't go 100%, it's okay. We're probably going to go 100% on the next one that's closer to Super Bowl because these guys are on this podcast for a reason. But is there any plus money alternate spreads that anyone likes? You say like, okay, like Ben too has talked about how he likes the Rams because XYZ, and then Ben really believes that Burrow's got a shot at winning this. Is there any alternate spread, plus money alternate spreads, based on your convictions of what you think is going to happen before any kind of other news comes out, that you would be like, you know what, I'd give that a look?
I would go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I have 2 plus money bets I like, but they're not alternate spreads, so I'm gonna give those at the end. So you go ahead.
Okay. Brad,
I have just a weird feeling that if the Bengals keep this close, they're going to win the game. So if I'm believing in the Rams, I'm going to take -6.5.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But if you're looking at the Bengals, for an alternate spread type of thing, Bengals -2.5 is 20 cents higher than their money line. And, what are the chances that it does come down to 1-2 point game? Maybe there's a safety or something. But almost every single game, both games yesterday and almost every game in the divisional round was a 3-point margin. So the only one that wasn't was that overtime win for the Chiefs. So a lot of these have been 3-point games. So, if you can get 20 more cents if you play the alt line -2.5, might be worth it, 20 extra cents.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So go ahead, Brad.
Yeah. I don't like looking at like Super Bowl histories because it's like there's so many things that go down, but the last 4 Super Bowls were decided by 7 or more.
Yep.
Now the Rams are playing at home.
Yeah.
So I know Ben, one you just said you had a few other things. So this is now the finale brain dump. Anything that has not been said yet, that is, whether you missed it with the quarterback, the running back, the receiver side, whatever it is, anything else you want to put on the table before we wrap up the first look? Ben, one, I know you got a few. Drop them on us.
Yeah, so one of them is on FanDuel, it's +130. Will there be a 2-point conversion attempt? I like that a lot. And then I haven't seen it posted yet, but I get plus odds on a missed extra point every year, and I always love betting that. So I like those. But then I have a question for you two, since you both think the Rams are going to win. Do you guys like Cooper Kupp MVP +700 on FanDuel? I think if you guys are gonna if you guys think the Rams are gonna win, I think that's worth it. Normally, as a quarterback, shoe in, but Cooper Kupp definitely has the juice to where he could just have he have 200 receiving yards and some touchdowns, and he could win it for sure.
I think Cooper Kupp will probably win it even if he has 110 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. More so of a thing that a lot of people would argue the Triple Crown winner in receiving should win the MVP of the league. it's kind of one of those things where if he has a semi big game and the Rams win, they're going to give it to him.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet if you think the Rams are going to win for sure.
Yeah, I'd probably agree there. It's hard to say he wouldn't. He'll probably be the leading receiver in the game. He just looks unguardable right now. Perhaps OBJ could be leading receiver, but Kupp is more the target in the end zone too. So even if OBJ is the receiving yard leader, Kupp probably will have more touchdowns. So pretty good bet there.
Anything else to sprinkle in? Ben, did you have anything else, or is that just your last one?
No, I just like 2-point conversion. I think is a really good bet at plus odds.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I do like that for plus odds. I did have one more. There is no line on it. At least that I haven't found yet. I don't know if you guys have seen a line on this, but Von Miller to get a sack. Man, I love that one. I mentioned earlier the 3+ sacks in every single game for the Bengals. Everyone knows about that O-line. Everyone knows it's horrible. 9 sacks in the Titans game. And then you think about this D-line. This almost seems like an obvious play to me. I don't know if it'll open at over a half a sack. He might get the assist or over a full sack, but I would love him to get a sack, especially if it's plus odds, which it probably will be. He actually had one against the Cards and the Bucks, so he's had one in each of the previous 2 of the 3 playoff games that he's played in. And you think about Donald. Donald was basically shut down by the Niners, and I feel like they're going to be watching a lot of film. The Bengals are going to be watching a lot of film. They're going to double him, obviously. So Donald would be a pretty good bet to get a sack, but I really love Von Miller here to get one, just because of that pressure that they'll be bringing on Donald. So I think he can break one and get Burrow down. So if there's going to be 3 sacks in this game, like every other game, which there probably will be, I bet Von Miller gets one of them.
Von Miller's going to get one. And he's have a better price. Donald's price last game when it closed was like minus 160.
Yeah. I bet Von Miller will probably be plus money. Maybe. I mean, unless the books know something. If it's minus money, that just means that the books probably know he's getting a sack. So that only makes me like it even more. But I'd love him to get a sack in this one.
Anything else from you, Mr. Brad?
No, I'm going to look into the kicking market when it opens up. I've had an incredible kicking year with kicker props. Like all season, it's just been incredible, but I don't want to force anything. They don't have anything that I love yet, but there's going to be more added. So I'll make sure I post it in a Discord chat.
So I know on screen you guys have seen that as these guys have been mentioning some props, I've just been clicking them, and then FanDuel has that single game parlay. So this is not us saying bet the house on the single game parlay. I'm just kind of showing things. So as we go along, if you're like, wait, what was that? What was that prop the last guy said? You can see that list there on the bet slip to the right. But for argument's sake, if this end game parlay hits, we have a screenshot. and I will blast the crap out of it.
What's the odds? Plus 40?
It's plus 44,000. So $10 gets you a 4,400 win there. So who knows? Hey,
that's nothing like that exact score.
Ticket. Dude, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
The exact score ticket yesterday.
It was $50 into like $500,000, right?
20 into 560,000.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I would never bet on anything ever again.
Hey, if you want a similar ticket like that, though, you can take the Cardinals to go to or win the Super Bowl next year, because apparently home teams in the Super Bowl are just hitting all the time now, with the Bucks last year and now the Rams. So the Cardinals, it's in Glendale next year. So if you want to get an early, future in, I'd take that one, because they didn't do too well in their run this year, but Kyler Murray might have it better next year.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work out with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Christian McCaffrey playing on the Dolphins. I'm going with the Dolphins winning the Super Bowl here. We got the cap space. We're going to make it happen. But yeah, let's just do that. Let's do that in case for some reason we can't all get together for the follow up props video. That's a lot closer when the lines are out and everything's been established. Let's finish off with that real quick. Ben won. Who's winning the Super Bowl next year?
Oh, next year?
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Denver Broncos, assuming that they can get Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know.
Only if they get Aaron Rodgers. You're going Broncos.
Yeah.
All right, Brad.
Man, that's tough. I'm going to go with Kansas City.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Ben too.
Yeah, well, Kansas City is definitely on their tries. I mean, they've gotten there almost. Yeah. They've gotten the conference championships. I mean, it's almost like a lock for them to at least get there. Unfortunately, they only have 1 win to show for it. But yeah, assuming they have the same team, I mean, I don't know why they can't make the same run. They haven't been the last few years. They look pretty unstoppable. And I think that second half was not kind to them yesterday. But if not for that, I think they might have another Super Bowl in 2 weeks. So I think they're a good pick. And then, the Cardinals, because of what I just said, I'm riding that trend of home teams. Apparently,
Let's go.
apparently the home teams are loving it. So, wouldn't be a bad look.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys joining us here on this pod. Make sure you are following them on Twitter, at Ben Hostler, at Mr. Brad Thomas, and at We Beat the Spread. Like I said, this is a first look. So if I get some things and I'm sure your guys are going to blow up the comments on YouTube like, well, that like 2 weeks or like a week go by and like 3 people are ruled out from COVID. I'm sure I'm going to get like tons of comments like, well, why would you bet that he's got COVID? Bro, it's a first look. Yeah. All right, guys, settle down, wait for closer. Get into our chat room. We're talking about the Super Bowl for the next 13-ish days. 24/7, 365, betkarmachat.com. Use our free SPF predictor for Prize Picks Monkey 95. If you don't have an account for either of those, go to betkarma.com/where-to-bet. Choose your state. It'll tell you if it's illegal or if it's legal or legal in there. And then just sign up, get all this promo money, man. All of these sites for the Super Bowl give out so much promo money. It's crazy. So make sure you cash on all that if you don't have accounts on those books. But good luck to the Super Bowl. I don't have a side either way. If the Bengals win, this to me as a Super Bowl I like because I said it on Facebook when the Super Bowl was determined or the matchup was determined that there's nobody out there that can hate Burrow or Stafford. Like there's always a quarterback of some teams like the Brady if Brady's playing we hate Brady, which I do. Big Ben if he's playing like I don't like Big Ben. There's always a quarterback that people don't like. That's like I'm rooting against them. This is like the first Super Bowl we got in a long time. A very long time. There's no way you could hate either of these guys. So I'm just hoping for like a 92-91 finish score-wise in this game, just to shoot out of crazy proportions where everybody's over hits and we all cash the over tickets. But we'll catch you guys for the next podcast. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and thanks for tuning in.